Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. I just got back from Target, and I actually have just acquired, as you can see, quite a few of the new Sound Strike figures for the Primal Attack line, and I figured I would start out these Sound Strike reviews with the one that is probably the most anticipated of the current wave of Sound Strike figures, and that would be the Cryolophosaurus. I actually only found this and the Pteranodon. Unfortunately, the Triceratops was not present at my Target, so the hunt will continue for that one. But this is the one that, along with many people out there, myself included, I was most excited about when it comes to the new Primal Attack figures, specifically the Sound Strike range, and I think it looks fantastic at first glance. Really beautiful looking sculpt, and the packaging is pretty much your run-of-the-mill Primal Attack packaging at this point. Really nice looking. I definitely love the background image there behind the dinosaur. And then if we turn the packaging around, you can see a few shots here on the back of some of the action features along with the other two Sound Strike figures in this wave. So let's go ahead and break this out of the package and take a look at it. So here it is out of the packaging, and it honestly looks beautiful. I really am a huge fan of this figure already, and I haven't even taken a closer look. One thing I'm noticing straight away is the fact that the tail length looks a lot better in comparison to the size of the body. The actual size comparison looks really nice for once, which is kind of a hit or miss thing when it comes to Mattel figures, but more often than not it seems that the tail ends up a bit too short, and I don't really see that too much on this Cryolophosaurus. It might be a little too short, but definitely as far as body proportions go, it looks a lot better than some of the previous releases. I really do quite like the color scheme. I didn't think I would like it so much in person, as the yellow in the promotional images kind of looked a little too bright to me, but honestly in person it actually looks way better than I was expecting. A little bit of a darker tone of yellow, and it looks really nice here as I'm looking at it recording this. So let's go ahead and get a closer look, and we'll take a look at the actual sculpt. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that it definitely has some really nice skin texture to the overall head area of the figure. I really quite like the really nice scaling here that kind of appears in the orangish area that leads up to that trademark Cryolophosaurus crest. The overall detailing of the crest is also really nice. It's definitely got a very large crest up here on its head, maybe a little bit too big, but it's really not something you can comment on when it comes to scientific accuracy with the Mattel line, as the Jurassic World dinosaurs are not full-blown dinosaurs. They are mixed with other species, so they're almost never going to look exactly as they should. The sculpting as far as the detailing of the head does look really nice. Beautiful skin texture all throughout the overall head sculpt. Really nicely sculpted out nostrils there. You've got a beautiful lower jaw here with a few kind of bumpy osteoderms. The eye is like a greenish color, and unfortunately you can see that it hasn't exactly hit the mark right there. It is definitely a little bit sloppy. And actually, when I kind of took a sneak peek at this after I picked it up, you could see the eye on the opposing side is even worse. So unfortunately, the quality control issues when it comes to Mattel figures will continue. This is another figure that I'm hoping isn't kind of struck with these bad, poor eye issues, but as of right now, it looks as though mine definitely is. But at the same time, it's not too big of a deal in a way, because I 100% intend on getting a hold of another one of these to repaint, so the one that I'll hopefully get a hold of next will have better eye placement, and then I'll just repaint this one. The jaw is articulated. It actually works really well. You can open it to any length that you would like. The inside of the mouth sports some really nice detailing, especially the tongue. It has a beautiful textured appearance to it. It looks extremely realistic. Really beautiful coloration as well, and a wonderful gloss on it, helping it to shine and gloss very, very realistically, giving you the idea that there is saliva in there. And it definitely has a very legitimate look to it as far as realism goes. The teeth also look to be sculpted and painted quite nicely. There's no real sloppiness to any of the teeth that I can see, so that is definitely a huge plus. And I actually really like that the gum line is kind of the same coloration as the lower jaw, and only the tongue is given that pinkish color. I think that looks really cool. If we take a look up here at the neck, you've got some really nice detailing of the neck. It almost seems like it's flexing and kind of contorting the muscles of the neck. You can also see some really beautiful detailing of kind of this sail-like appearance that runs along the neck here. Also on the back of the neck, the detailing and skin texture looks really cool. Lots of creases in the skin as you run down the neck. Once you get down into the shoulder blade area, you can kind of see some skin wrinkling going on. And you can also take note to the rib cage there is quite nicely present. Very beautiful arms up here in the front of the figure. Really nice detailing and muscle tone included. You've got the nails here that have been given a gloss. Unfortunately, they don't include any actual nail paint like the feet do. but they still look quite nice, and the gloss helps to give them a little bit of difference in coloration in comparison to the rest of the body. Looking up here at the back, you can see that kind of sail-like appearance continues down into right above the hip region, and then it kind of tapers off. It's painted primarily with this nice dark brown that kind of leaks down onto the body and has a pretty nice appearance to it, honestly. And it actually has quite a bit of color variation. You can see the brown here, and then the face has some gray. You've also got the orange up here on the head, some yellow, and a nice white underbelly here of the jaw and throat area. And of course the primary yellow color that is all over the rest of the body, which actually you can see is a few different tones because you've got a slightly different shade on the legs in comparison to the body. You've also got some skin folding and skin wrinkling down here in the lower part of the stomach. Really beautiful detailing on the underside of the figure. There actually is the Jurassic Facts app while we're here in this spot, if you want to add this to your collection. Really nice detailing here in the thigh. You've got lots of skin wrinkling, skin folding. As you run down the thigh, you can also see some really beautifully defined musculature in the thigh and calf region. Really large muscular legs on this dinosaur. As you get down into the foot sculpt looks really beautiful. Nice scoot-like appearance as we run down the toes. You've also got some pretty nicely painted nails, but they're not perfectly. You can see that kind of the paint isn't all the way up to where it should be on the nails, and the underside of the nails, oddly enough, actually is not painted. I don't know why. That's very strange, and I don't understand exactly why they chose not to paint the underside of the nails, and also kind of in general giving it a little bit of sloppy paint to the nails, which is odd for Mattel. You don't see that very often. The dew claws and everything are present. They are sculpted out, just not painted, which is of course something that you also come to expect when it comes to a Mattel figure. As you run out into the tail, you can see some nice bumps up here on the top of the animal, some really nice osteoderms and scoots that run along the spinal column of the figure. You can really see kind of a difference in coloration between the yellow here and the yellow here on the tail, as they are two different types of material. I think that the paint just kind of lays on them somewhat different, which is cool in a way because it gives it a little bit of color variation. You can also see lots of creases in the skin as we run out the length of the tail, which has a slight curve to it, and the ridges and bumps up here in the top of the body along the spinal column turn into almost spikes here at the end of the tail that pretty much taper out and disappear right about here. Really nice looking sculpt for sure. When it comes to Mattel figures, you're really not going to see much difference in comparison to the opposite side. They are pretty much sculpted exactly the same on both sides, sort of, for the most part. You're just really not going to see too much difference as far as movement or anything being shown, so there's not really too much of a reason to go over the opposing side here of the sculpt. Just know that it absolutely looks beautiful on both sides. You can see pretty much looking at it right here that it looks just like it did on the opposing side, but really, really nicely done. Definitely a big fan of this Cryolophosaurus. As far as articulation goes, you've of course got the articulated jaw. You have quite a bit of articulation in the neck, but I'm not going to really move that around just because it's going to set off the Sound Strike action, the sound feature. And you've also got articulation in the arms, just like all other Mattel figures have. You've also got articulation here in the hip, and the legs can come out apart from the body, away from the body quite a bit, so there's some nice articulation there as well. And then in the tail, and that actually is due to the fact that you use the tail to activate the sound feature of the dinosaur. And as you can see, the use of the tail can move the head up, down, left, or right. So there are some really cool sound effects, some beautiful articulation and action features all included, jam-packed into this Cryolophosaurus. As far as a size goes, for a length from the tail to the head, you're looking at about 12.5 inches or around 32 centimeters, and for a height to the top of the crest, about 5.5 inches or about 14 centimeters, maybe a little hair over. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Cryolophosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel line, and you should be able to see that these Sound Strike figures are very similar in size to the Dual Attack figures, definitely right in that same size group where you know they pack quite a bit of size to them, but they're not one of the larger figures in the line. I guess as far as Primal Attacks go, as of right now, when we've only really had some Sound Strikes, Attack Packs, and a few massive biters released, they are fairly big, but I guess you would call them mid-sized. So this Cryolophosaurus from Mattel for the Jurassic World Primal Attack line is absolutely awesome. Of course, I'm not going to judge the figure on scientific accuracy. When it comes to a Jurassic World figure, you never can, because again, like I said earlier in the review, they aren't 100% dinosaurs, they're not full-blown dinosaurs, so they're always going to have little tweaks to them that make them look a little different probably than what the real animal would. And you can obviously tell that here with this Cryolophosaurus. It's not completely accurate in comparison to what we know Cryolophosaurus looked like today, but you can see that what you do get is an incredibly awesome looking Jurassic World style version of a Cryolophosaurus, and I think that Mattel absolutely nailed it overall on the sculpt. There are very few downsides in the figure, and the only things that I can really think of as far as downsides go would be the slightly misplaced eye paint, the nail paint, and then there's also sort of a seam right there where the head connects to the neck that kind of separates the head ever so slightly from the neck, but that's just a very small gripe, not something to really be too concerned with or to really complain about. It honestly looks beautiful. The paint application looks really good as well, much better than I expected it to, and has quite a bit of coloration to it, like I said earlier, with a grayish coloration that kind of masks around the eye and up onto the snout. You've also got a really nice orange up there for the crest, a yellow coloration for the primary body color, and also a brown. You've also got a light for the neck and jawline, the lower jaw, along with a lot of speckles all over the figure, which is something that's kind of trademarked to these Mattel figures that they like to give us, which helps to give, yet again, a little color variation to your figure. Really cool action features, absolutely awesome sounds that the dinosaur makes when you actually activate the action features, and loads of articulation like we've come to expect from Mattel. So this Cryolophosaurus is absolutely awesome, and I highly recommend anybody interested in picking one up to either head to their local Target or order it online. You can order it, I believe, from Entertainment Earth, but they tend to charge a little more than you probably should have to pay. So your best bet would probably be to just head to your local Target and hope that they have it in stock. If not, keep checking back and they should have it soon. So make sure you pick up this incredible Cryolophosaurus from the Mattel Jurassic World line. But before you do that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.